like gold dust. You hear me coming through your speakers. You see me mashing up your airwaves. I know you can't get enough of my sound. Gold dust. You see me mashing up your airwaves. I know you can't get enough of my sound. You see me mashing up your airwaves. I know you can't get enough of my sound.
Ha ha ha. How very, very nice. Very, very nice. This is Oliver. And that was DJ. Let's double check here. DJ Fresh and Gold Dust. It was a Flux Pavilion remix 12 years ago. That Gold Dust song, and then they just incorporated that into all kinds of remix. But that was DJ Fresh. That's coming out of Shane Fritz, out of one of his play tracks that he had pieced together there. So that's how Sound Yard is. It's just totally random. It's people bringing in the past, people bringing in the present, and then it overlaps, and then you get fusion where you're getting like two separate type of like Korean meat street Mexi taco, right? I don't know, man. I have some valerian and then a second blueberry tea. Very, very delicious. Valerian, if you haven't tried valerian, talk to your doctor. I'm not giving you free medical advice. We're on the YouTube, so everything that I'm saying is just my perspectives and my opinions and things that I wouldn't recommend to you unless you've talked to a trained professional about then consulting my opinion. Valerian tea is sold right over the counter. You just have to look. Some of the teas have it. Most of the teas don't have it. It's kind of an exclusive type thing, but you have to look at it. Instead of catnip and chamomile and all this and that, you've got valerian. Valerian is a game changer. So, but what I wanted to talk about here today briefly was in the header, some XXX flares of dropping over there. I don't want to do a long one just because long ones are really boring. It's Saturday night. But we also have Venus, this little romance with Venus and Mars, and they've clicked into Aquarius. Venus has followed Mars into Aquarius. And so it's an interesting dance that they've been doing for quite a while through the signs. So as the signs are going, this remarkable, the god of war, this savage Spartacus, right? Beast, the guy that's slaying lions in front of Colosseums, that guy, or somebody like that, with Venus, the goddess of love, the juicy of all juicy. It's kind of interesting. And we've got all these kind of like days of our lives, you know, where it's like sands through the hourglass. In Fulton County, they're turning sand into diamonds, baby. It's like boom, shka, boom, boom. But, right, that's so cheesy. I'm so sorry. And we're not even going to talk about that entire, or are we? Nah, I'm going to try not to, but Cartels running MCDC is Multnomah County Detention Center. That's a local story I wanted to touch on that hasn't been seen. And then Cosmic and the Aquarius, that's kind of briefly what I was talking about. But what's really interesting here, let's see if I can, I'm still kind of getting this new StreamYard software down. I'm sorry if it's kind of like a little bit sketchy. Can you see that? I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's about as best as I've got. So this is spaceweather.com. There's a link there. I love this one. I never close it. It's one of those browsers that it's just every single day they're getting new data. There's a weird kind of like time travel trip thing about space weather is that it's now saying it's Sunday, the February the 25th. So they're like in Sweden, I think, in Europe. It's like many hours, like maybe 10 hours ahead. So that's a little bit of a strange thing that you just kind of have to adjust. So it's like they're in tomorrow. So as you watch tonight, it's their morning tomorrow. It's pretty wild, right? It's right back to that sand through an hourglass. But this was kind of interesting here. It was in. I heard a this doctor who's kind of like this sexy redhead. I forget her name, but she said that the sun was shooting blanks, like he was popping off, pop, 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 3x flares, but he was shooting blanks, right? Like blanks. And I thought, that's kind of I mean, is that like from an adult film type of lingo? Or, I was just kind of, maybe she's just got that guy that shot up his cruise set. Maybe she's got him on her mind or something. But it's always interesting when you see a sexy redhead start talking about the sun and firing out and shooting blanks. But so this is interesting because they're spinning a spin of the spinners of the spinning of the cell network outage. It's explained here in spaceweather.com. If you could believe it, because I still can't believe it. A 12-hour outage of AT&T's network on Thursday interrupted cell phone service for tens of thousands of Americans. It was hundreds of thousands, if not a million. Who am I to say? The outage coincided with a series of X-flare solar flares from giant sunspot AR3590. That's this bad boy right here. The outage coincided with the series. However, the solar flares have been exonerated. They've been exonerated. AT&T did it to themselves. AT&T did it to themselves, right? I mean, that's the epitome of a false flag, is when the corporation and the victim is actually confessing, or now in website print, they did it themselves. Quote, based on our initial review, we believe the outage was caused by the application and execution of an incorrect process used as we were expanding our network, the company reported. So, that's pretty it's pretty interesting. There was a lot of different conspiracies. I went with the it's the solar flare crew, and man, I was savagely viciously attacked. A couple of the religious folks were attacking me like I was somehow dancing with Satan or something all of a sudden, because how could I side with that fake false story? Everyone knows this is a Chi-Com hack, and we have to nuke from Trident submarines in the South Sea, nuke China right away for these hacks. It was like, wait a minute. Oh, and you're saying I'm spewing CIA propaganda? Doesn't it seem a little reactionary? Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. But this is the bad boy right here, and we're going to see more of it this next week. There's no doubt in my mind. That 6x6. So there was a 1.7 or a 1.8, and then the XXX. So, which is like way off the charts, off the records. Apparently, they're shooting blanks because she meant that in the sense of her Aurora chasers, who that's really kind of who she's catering and pandering to, which is awesome because she does it on a scientific level. She is a doctor, for Christ's sakes. Can't believe I forgot her name. And I'm mentioning this. It's best she's mysterious. It's better that way. She's very mysterious. But she was talking about how they're not going to create that CME, which creates the geomagnetic storms, which creates these amazing opportunities to film the most amazing liquid color you've ever seen probably the closest thing you're going to get to hallucinogenics without actually taking the hallucinogenics. But this 3590 is going to be doing a lot more action. That's just my intuition. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a cosmonaut. I'm just a guy on the tubes, the internets. So I thought that was pretty interesting. AT&T is now saying it was them. And what's interesting about that is that no one's broke this down, and I'm not the money guy, but I think AT&T has been consumed. And I remember going back and forth with my battles with Xfinity because I went through an Xfinity offer, got a free phone, this Pixel 6a, and it was like a $500 phone. And then if I did the 2 years at very, very reasonable rate, it was like $25 a month or something. Very low data, but $25. I've never had any problems. But they were telling me, the staff on there were talking about how there was all these little fish being eaten up by big fish. Like T-Mobile was getting gobbled up, or Simple Mobile, which was the T-Mobile. Let me backtrack that. Simple Mobile was the T-Mobile's mobile service, the Wi-Fi, this little burner smartphone. So I heard all these different gossip. I don't know what's true, what's not, but I think AT&T has been gobbled up by Xfinity. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if anybody has any data, let us know, because it hasn't been talked about in the mainstream media. I haven't heard any whisperings in the underground independent journalists in media. So I find that kind of interesting that right now you've got AT&T that's, I think, being consumed by some larger guys. It makes sense that they were doing some incorrect process. And I know that sounds kind of like some CIA story, and some of you are just going to lose your fucking minds and say I'm spewing some sort of deep state talking point. I'm just going with my gut intuition. What makes this sunspot so dangerous? Don't be surprised if there's another X flare this weekend. So here's the more professionals telling you exactly what my intuition feels like it to it. Just seems obvious with this AR region 3590 that's just a badass mofo. It's just going to be spewing more. But like the Dr. Feelgood, the redheaded doctor that was talking about shooting blanks, she says there's probably going to be a lot more blanks being shot. That's in the sense of CME. Now, X flares can be very serious. I mean, there's the Carrington event. I mean, there's all kinds of history. 1850s, there was like, it went dark for a week, and then it was blood red skies for, I mean, it must have been like something right out of the Bible. And I'm misquoting the exact time and the exact experience because I wasn't there. But it's in history. I've seen some paintings actually of some crazy looking skies, and I thought, wouldn't that be fun to try? So, but it's the reason they're so dangerous is it's facing Earth. If you didn't catch that, most sunspots have a simple magnetic field with only two poles, plus and minus. Sunspot AR 3590 is more like a layer cake with a whole stack of pluses and minuses. Opposite magnetic polarities pressed together in the way can lead to explosive magnetic reconnection. The mechanism behind solar flares. Indeed, only 2 days ago, AR 3590 unleashed the strongest solar flare of solar cycle 25, X6.3. So, and see that the positive, negative. Actually, it starts minus, positive, minus, positive, minus, positive, positive. So it's like, wow, right? So that kind of, it breaks it down. So we took a look at that. This is a little bit of data right here. You can click on all these things and, oh, unless it's going to freeze up. Shoot, that's not a good sign. Oh no, it's going to start getting glitchy on me. All right. It's getting glitchy on me. It's unfortunate that, let me see if this is even, we're still rolling. 15 minutes in, it says we're still rolling. Sorry again, it's on my end. It's my memory on this little thing. So take a look at that and just click on it. All these little blue highlights, there's all kinds of different little films. Oh no, this is just telling us. So here was the XXX. Here was the other ones. They're all just totally jacked. And it's going to be more. There's going to be more coming. Now, it doesn't mean all doom and gloom and don't get freaked out, although I would definitely be concerned. My main thing is I'm not an Aurora chaser. My thing is that I look at the psychology of it. And the psychology is that one of my, these are just, I'm just spewing stuff out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. But I think that one of the things that makes sense doesn't make sense. It's more of an idea. I'm rambling. Bear with me here. Bear with me. Is that the electromagnetic energy, our bodies, just like people talk about the full moon, that's where the high tides, the king tides go, the low tides, all of that with the lunar, the gravity. Our bodies are mostly water. Our bodies are currents and their electromagnetic energy. That's why people, have you ever seen like people were like, I don't have mine, but I for years on and off, little copper wristbands. And they'll talk about, or they believe that the copper helps the energy flow go in one arm or out another in different parts of the body, kind of keep your chi a little more lively instead of getting stagnant like a pond, and then all the fish die and then you're toxic. So you want to keep that energy of that river going, right? I mean, it's just all kind of stream of consciousness here, if you will. Bear with me. So that's the same thing with that electromagnetic energy of what I'm thinking. So, and people have been acting very, very unusual, if you didn't notice. And you're like, oh, dude, people are, unusual all the time. I'm on the West Coast. It's like, bro, I don't know about you, but Seattle's like batshit crazy. I'm like, bro, I know Seattle. Okay. Not just talking about that kind of usual suspects and usual level of psychosis that we experience here on the West Coast, which is real. Don't want to minimize that. But there is other things in play. One of them, I believe, is possibly graphene oxide. There's different ways that graphene nanoparticulates that came out, that was in the boosters, in the jabby jabs. And so, I don't want to get in too much trouble there, because anytime I mention anything other than, the perfect meatball and how to brush your cat properly, I get pulled and striked and shadow banned and just treated like a punk. So, and I don't really want to get into all of that different medical stuff. The point is that it's quite possible that there's a lot of extra, very, very tiny metal particulate or metal-like type of particulates in our air, in our water, in our food supplies, in the jet fuel, not diesel. Diesel would be a blessing. The jet fuel has hundreds and hundreds of chemicals, including lithium, including aluminums. Aluminums in that level in particulate is a nanoparticulate matter. So there's a lot of very, very invisible metals in our lives today. And if you didn't know that, take a look at that. I don't have any intel on that, but note to self, well, actually, I might have a couple of browsers. I don't want to do a dive, like I said, on YouTube, getting into a bunch of medical stuff. These handlers and sensor shippers, might as well start making up my own words, right? And that's the code. So anyway, with that little cosmic ramble, the Venus and Mars, the Aquarian energy, I don't want to get into too much of that, because it could really be interpreted in a lot of different ways. That's the dangers of astrology. But astronomy and studying the cosmos and astrology have some overlapping dynamics in charts of where they are positioned in the sky, at what time and at what century. We're talking about centuries and centuries now that we've got these documents. That's scientific, okay? So, but the one thing, right now, is Venus is squared up with Jupiter. Jupiter's in Taurus, love Taurus. I've got a lot of Taurus energy and Taurus friends. My sun signs that, but I'm actually a triple Gemini, which meaning Venus. Oh, I forget all the planets, but I have 3 different aspects, including Venus, goddess of relationships, in Gemini. So I understand the liquid river and the Gemini nature of people and emotions and thinking. That's the creative process. But square Jupiter. So if Jupiter is our thinking process and Venus is already in this excited, I hate to say hypersexualized, but state with Mars. Now they're holding hands. They're close enough. Venus has not fallen, but followed. Venus has followed. Mars leads into the next cycle, into the next sign. And so it's just something to note. It could be a dangerous time. To me, it just screams domestic red flags, domestic violence, and it just sounds. I know it just sounds weird. It's like, bro, why all of a sudden are you just going to start spouting off these? You have a vision of domestic violence? I mean, isn't it always a domestic situation? It's when people are stressed, there's going to be more domestic situations, but it's just like it's in the air. Like it's electric. It's just snappy. It's like an electrical line down that's crackling. It's crackling and snapping. I don't know if you can feel that or sense that, but I do. And this whole Venus, it feels very domestic. We've had some crazy domestic lunacy here in Portland. I haven't even followed it nationally, although I think there's been some national shit too. But the right here in Portland, the guy had a 2-foot blade. I'm gonna put my teacup down here. I can use both my hands. He had a 2-foot. I call that a machete. We call that, it's kind of beyond your average kitchen knife for paring and peach cobbler and stuff. 2 feet. Broke into right. I used to live right there at 28th and Thurman. I knew the apartments when I heard it, the address. I knew exactly where it was at. I lived there for years in high school, a couple years. And that 28th in Northwest, there's Thurman, Upshur. I know that whole area. And then somebody had a pistol and a homeowner pop, 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 pop. Bravo, right? They ain't going to talk about that on the neoliberal Portland news. Nobody wants to talk about pop, 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 pop. Defended their apartment. So this lunatic, the guy with the 2 machete, he breaks into another woman's house. God only knows what he's got in mind with the 2-foot machete, right? Shirtless, sweaty with a 2-foot machete. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't mean to do that, but that did come out awfully smooth. Yes. So, and then there was hours and hours and hours of the crisis de-escalation team. And, the guy, you probably should have just capped his ass and been done with it. But then you're going to have a lot of blowback and, why do you got to shoot everybody with 2-foot machetes threatening women in their apartments? Oh, hey, show some restraint, Portland police. And anyway, speaking of Portland police and cop watch, that's the second part of the story I wanted to bounce into. Now that we're already 25 minutes in, so I won't be long on this one here, but this here came in on the WW. Lucas Manfield. Willamette Week is the WW. The link is there. So state records suggest Multnomah County deputies. Okay, now get that in your mind. Multnomah County deputies. So it's not the Portland Police Bureau. This is a separate. We have a very unusual relationship where the Multnomah County has deputies that oversees the Portland Police's jailhouse. Okay. They let Hoover gang members beat up jailhouse rivals. This is a huge fucking red flag. And this has always been an old school situation with the Multnomah County Detention Center, MCDC. I've seen situations. I've had friends have situations down in the jailhouse where people die There's lots of people, inmates that have died there. It's been a real situation, and and it's Brotherhood of the Strong Arm. I'll just say those guys. It's kind of like, be careful when you say their name out loud. It's kind of like Gypsy Jokers or something. Be careful what you say and when you're saying them out loud. But that Brotherhood of the Strong Arm was this crazed. They got arm tattoos, crazed insider fraternal brotherhood that was running, probably still is. We joke about that. It probably still is the Multnomah County detention center. Well, it looks like here the state police crack this caper where the popos are working with the cartels to monitor and police. One could use the word self-regulator, self-police the detention center. Right. Oregon State Police have uncovered evidence that Multnomah County correction deputies encouraged, well, of course, and sometimes participated in, oh heavens, no, a series of more than a dozen assaults of inmates on the county's downtown jail between 2018 and 2019. Now, they've withheld this data to before the George Floyd riots. They withheld this data and wouldn't give this to these journalists on the FOIA request since last year. They've been sitting on these little golden eggs, and they're only going to say 2018, 2019. You think they got this all straightened up before the George Floyd riots and thousands of anarcho-communist lunatics descended upon the MCDC and the federal courthouse downtown? Nah, me neither. A bombshell, it's still going on. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. It hasn't been resolved because there's no oversight. COVID came in, and it's been anarcho-communism with the sheriff's office downtown in the detention center, which is a crazy, scary, anarchist place to begin with. Downtown jail. I mean, people die there regularly, and it doesn't even talk about it anymore. A bombshell 142-page report authored by OSP Sgt. Nicole Watson and released today by the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office found a, quote, a pattern of misconduct, quote unquote, a pattern of misconduct, you think, involving 6 current and former deputies. Involving 6 current and former deputies. So we got some of these guys still there, even though the article wants to stop in 2019. Don't want to go any further than that. It's been 5 years now, right? Do our math. The central allegation in the report is that the jail deputies did favors for members of the Hoover gang. So you've got Hoover gangs that are working with cartels. We've seen this in many different urban scenarios playing out in modern time right now. It's just not really being talked about, but we're seeing it and we're paying attention to it, including running drugs, bringing in contraband, buzzing inmates into cells to beat up their rivals. So you've got locked doors that are being buzzed and opened, so people come in and beat the hell out and probably kill, if not have their sexual way. I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of missing here is what about these are the other dynamics of gender dysphoria and psychotropics and steroids and all kinds of other weirdness, right? That part's left out of this article, and you damn well better believe there's going to be some sexual abuse in there with these fuckers. That's just the way the sickness rolls. The report was submitted to Multnomah County prosecutors, who did absolutely nothing. Oh, no, that's not what it says. Who reviewed the allegation in November, penned a memo declining to press criminal charges against 3 of the deputies involved. So they're positioning to shelter and protect. Despite, quote, serious concerns about the alleged allegations of the defendants, Senior Deputy District Attorney J.R. Ufusi said he didn't believe he could prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay. Right. So WW first reported a criminal investigation to 3 deputies in November 2022, right? A little more recent, isn't it? The first requested the resulting report last June. On February 12th, Oregon State Police turned over the report. So this is the foot dragging. You got Hoover affiliated, Hoover gang, The defendant unnamed in the report, and likely a Hoover gang member angling for more lenient treatment by prosecutors, tipped off the FBI. So you have FBI informants embedded into these Hoover local Portland gang members who are coming up through California. They're working with the cartels. I've seen this up close where I've seen very large club, local Portland club guys. That one guy was so big. He looked like a wrestler. I mean, he was like 400 pounds. He was dealing with several other, looked like captains from Latino gangs. I saw that right in front of me at Portland Mercado. And, I'm not trying to say, I'm just saying I've witnessed this stuff firsthand. I've seen this intermingling, not like I'm hanging out with them, but I can just observe it. Very intuitive. It's not hard to miss this stuff, especially when you know the streets and you've worked the streets with different crisis counseling scenarios. I got a lot of street smarts, okay, guys? And that they even earn nicknames and honorary memberships into the game. So you've got defendant said 2 deputies, Gustavo Valdovinos and Mirzik Sakrovich, that sounds Slavic, became so close with the Hoovers in the jail that they earned nicknames and honorary membership in the gangs. So the deputies were brought into the gangs. They became members and were running, and still are, Multnomah County Detention Center, downtown Portland, Oregon. You don't think this is happening in California? Oh my God. California is a worse anarcho-communist cesspool than Portland, and Portland has gotten pretty bad. Seattle's right up there. But this is just a little tasty sweetie pie of what the state of our country is, what the state of Oregon is, what the state of Portland is. Now, you're going to have these anarcho-communists just poo-poo and dismiss this. There needs to be an investigation. There needs to be a hearing. It needs to be public. I know it's going to feel embarrassing and to these deputies and all that. And then we're going to have the FBI is going to fight us. We're going to have the feds fighting us because these are their informants. But we need to have this discussion. This is really important. We've lost our not only judicial system, the district attorney's office in Portland, the judicial system, and the prosecutors, and now the jailers in the executive branch, where we're losing our sheriffs, losing our actual jailhouse to the members of these cartels that are intermingled with the gangs themselves. You can't make this up. This is like The Departed, only instead of the Irish mafia, it's Portland and it's the Hoover with the cartels. I'm sorry that if it sounds kind of dramatic or emotional, this is a big fucking deal. And Commissioner Gonzalez, I like him, by the way. I'd like to see Renee become mayor, actually. I'm thinking about actually volunteering on the campaign. I haven't done that yet. And those guys don't want me anywhere near them. I'm bad for business when it comes to politics because I'm just too outspoken. But I still would like to help out. He needs to actually investigate this because the ladies of the commission at Multnomah County are they're drenched in Grey Goose and Xanax. I mean, we're talking about knee deep, pantyhose deep in Grey Goose and Xanax over there at the Multnomah County Commissioners. We need some dads. We need some fathers over there seated and elected at Multnomah County Commissioners that preferably aren't drinking Grey Goose and not Xanax out of their little noodles. Men, fathers with children that care about Portland, not just identity politics and creating weird secret trans societies within our school systems. 2 other unnamed cooperative defendants echoed the accusation that deputies were facilitating fights. So now it's Fight Club, which I can believe because I've seen that in there. If they were gang members, they were letting us handle it, said one. When they had problems with certain inmates that weren't gang members, they would just go in the cell and beat the shit out of them. Beat them up by themselves. Okay. So now they feel empowered. You've got deputies that feel stronger than a deputy with a badge. They feel that they're legitimate, bona fide mafia members in the gang. They've got their own badges. They probably have their own tattoos. In late 2022, then Sheriff Mike Reese, who this is the same Mike Reese, who is just a bumbling, his band is the Usual Suspects. You can't make that up if you tried. He has a band. Yes, that's right. That Mike Reese plays the bass in Usual Suspects. This guy, the bungling, our Ford, Gerald Ford, which Biden's doing a really good job of Gerald Ford, President Ford. But Mike Reese has been tapped to big money in the state level by Governor Tina. So these people are rewarded. You make the Al Gore allegation that he was trying to sexually assault a massage therapist. Mike Reese made that go away. Got promoted up real quick, became sheriff. Now they're going to tap him for covering up these cartels, running the detention center for years. And now they're going to tap him and bring him in on a state level and make another $300,000 a year. See how these Democrats work? Usual suspects, right, Mike Reese? That's right, boss. That's right. So they're going to say Reese tried to investigate him. Oh, yeah, like Columbo, just sniffing out crime. Sergeant Nicole Watson was assigned to the case. I don't know anything about her, so I don't want to smear her too bad. She traveled as far as Montana and then got lost in the backwoods. Oh, that makes sense. So and then they've got some other names here into Utah. Oh boy. So everybody just got lost. It's like they went out on looking for mountain rams in Utah and got lost in the backwoods of Montana looking for these deputies and the cartels. Guards returning favors, 2018. So this has got some juicy morsels in there. I don't want to read the whole thing because I'm already too long-winded, but it's got some juicy stuff. Lucas Manfield, I wonder who his sources are, because this has definitely got more than just a redacted from the state police, which, props to Willamette Week on a couple of things. I know I give them hell because of the conflicts of interest that the executive producer is banging the Oregon Attorney General. I use the word banging in the sense kind of traditional, like I think they're married. Married people will bang, but they're at least an item. I'm not sure what these neoliberals do about that kind of a thing, like what their titles are. I don't want to get too bogged down in the titles, but okay. So we went through, was that the whole thing? I guess it was. So pretty wild. I mean, if you ask me, it's pretty wild. I've heard other rings over the years. I've been privy to a lot of Portland corruption, and there's some things you just don't talk about. There's other things that do need to be leaked out, and it's dangerous. It used to be really dangerous. It's probably not any different than in the rest of the country, especially when you're dealing with corrupt police forces like in Atlanta or in Chicago. I mean, I hate to say that, corrupt police forces, but the cartels come in and they've got bling bling, they got boom boom, they got pew pew, they got pop pop, they got cha cha, and they got chica chica. It's just too much. They can't. The weight of Satan takes over their Jesus heart and mind and soul. And we know this because we see stuff like Fast and Furious. I think we're in the middle of a Fast and Furious 3.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. I mean, what number of Fast and Furious is this, where we're shipping the guns and weapons and military style rockets? I mean, when Mexico's DOD says, hey, USA, can you lighten down on sending all the military grade rockets and weapons? It's interfering with my police fighting the cartels that are massacring my police departments. Thank you, USA. And where are all these drugs going? Yes, the borders are open. Yes, that's intentional, but they're coming from those rat lines, those cartels. It is what it is. And then you've got these conflicts, like there's a measure called 1110, which the voters voted in, decriminalizing the hard drugs. And then we got slammed with the pandemic, and the Democrats overreacted and destroyed the economy and destroyed Portland. Anarcho-communists also spent several months blowing up downtown, blowing up the federal courthouse, blowing up police departments all over Portland. And the DA got lost in a hotel room with cocaine and a bunch of strippers. I mean, DA Mike, we just lost him. It's like a guy that goes into the opium den and wow, he's just gone. Bye. Good luck, But it really makes a lot more sense now when you combine all those loose charges and all this shady, corrupt shit from the district attorney's office, and now we have literal evidence from the Oregon State Police, which we already knew it was shady as fuck inside Multnomah County Detention Center. Thank you. Anybody that's been down there knows it's a scary place because it's no man's land. That things happen that are off the books and the cameras are not going to work right. You're in trouble. And it used to be a hell of a lot worse than it was 10 years, 20 years ago. You just disappear. You vanish. One of the things that's sort of joked about, it's not a joke, is that there's a lot of bodies underneath that building. There's a lot of bodies underneath the downtown jailhouse, because downtown Portland, the jailhouse is actually on upper floors. Every inmate has to be brought in up through into this building, up into upper floors, into upper units. And each floor has different levels and different units. It's all on elevators. So you're on upper floors, upper decks. And then you got all the shady rooms and FBI interrogation where all these informants. So, I mean, there you have it right there, that you've got your homeboy. You've got rats and moles in your clubs right here in Portland right now. It said that right in the article. You should already know that. That's from a couple years ago. You think that's different now? You think the feds aren't all up in you like a proctologist, following you around with all of your homeboys, whatever I hate that word, but cholos, cholos isn't that a bad name? That's a slang too. I think that's the cholo. Hey man, you got the cholos. Whatever the fuck you call your comrades in arms. Whatever the fuck it is. I'm so out of the loop on some of this stuff today. And when you're working shelters, and especially youth drop-in centers, you hear everything. You hear every goddamn fucking crime that's going on. You hear every suicide attempt. You hear all of it, because you're right there. I mean, it's like, and often I was like applying gauze and knocking knives out of people's hands, and I'm not kidding, man. It was a fucking war zone. It's like right out of MASH, only you're downtown Portland and it's youth killing each other. Jesus. And they're doing the same thing right now. I mean, it's like pop, 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 pop. I mean, look at the Kansas City parade. I mean, of course, we need to hold Taylor Swift accountable, and all the Swifties need to be held accountable, and kind of like a Nuremberg type of hearing. I see some sort of a trial where Taylor Swift and her boyfriend stand trial for this inciting this violence and this insurrection at the Kansas City parade. But, outside of that, I think the guy said somebody looked at me wrong. Now, more than likely, and I'm not in the business, thank God, Santa Maria, it was probably some sort of a hand gesture. It was more than just giving you a stink eye, or I'm going to mad dog you. What you doing this is my parade. you got an awful lot of red and gold on. It was probably more like, some sort of a, there's all kinds of little things. It's not, that would be a little more obvious than these are my homeboys and we're coming with a 6-pack and pop, 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 pop. However that played out. And it looked like it was a chain reaction. We still won't know exactly what the hell happened there, except for Taylor Swift and her boyfriend incited the shooting and massacre. It sounded like it was a chain reaction. Did you catch that? I'm talking about the Kansas City parade shooting a little bit back. They're still investigating and arresting and indicting people. But it sounded like it was like at the same time, all of a sudden, it just multiple random pieces came out and everyone's popping everybody. Now, that could just be like smoke and screen to try to cover up from what's going on. But God, what a weird situation that one was, right? It's like, all of it. First, it was white supremacists. Have you noticed that? Every major urban shooting these days, it's immediately, even the dark-skinned Latino guy with Venezuelan tattoos on his neck and cheeks, it's this white supremacist guy. These white supremacists, these white nationalists shot up and killed some immigrants. It's like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Fuck you, AP. You guys, it's so blatant. It's like, how fucking stupid do they think? They think we're pretty stupid. They think you're pretty stupid. They're counting on you being real stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. You think our little my little story there, you think we're all by ourselves? You think nobody else has got anything like that going on? Where you got the cartels actually running the prisons in a small neoliberal city? Get smart, man. Get smart. And what needs to happen is we need to be proactive. This is Commissioner Gonzalez. Maybe Mapes. Mapes just seems like he wants to go home. It's kind of like he's done. I would love to see Mingus Maps. I call him Mapes. I'm sorry. Mingus Maps go and run. Well, he's going to be elected into the Multnomah County Commissioner's office. We need some dads. We need some, even though he's kind of cuckoo with the climate change and he thinks the cow farts are starting to affect his wife's lily gardens in the back. These guys, but hey, whatever. There's a lot of people that are feeling the climate change mental illness, and it's a real mental illness. But even with that, I don't care. He's a dad. He's probably a good dad. He looks like a good dad. He looks like a good guy to me, even though he doesn't know politics and he's getting bad advice. He seems like a pretty good guy. If we could get a couple of guys like that, him to begin with would make him the ringleader. It'd make him the captain of the reform. We need more seats at Multnomah County. We need that whole structure. If we can restructure City Hall down at Portland, we can do the same thing at Multnomah County. And it needs to be done. I just don't know the process, and I'm not the guy to do it. I'm not looking for a job to run that. It needs to find, that's what you need. You need to have at least one or two people that are looking for the money and they want to run some sort of petition that's going to change that. Because I think it takes a petition. I don't think we're going to be able to get it from this backroom commission that we did with Portland. Got really, really lucky with changing. Some of you haters are like, oh fuck, we're going to get nothing but anarcho-communists. That's not the way I see it. I ain't voting for anarcho-communists. Are you? Fuck no. Get the fuck out of here. We're going to buy their Greyhound ticket or Amtrak to Seattle. Get the fuck out of here. We're not seating anarcho-communists. Make sure not to do that. We're not going to seat them. We're going to seat some Rene Gonzalez. In fact, no. Don't let me, I won't get too nasty but there's a couple people. I need to do some thrashing on Commissioner Rubio because it ain't right. It ain't right. You know what? It ain't right. And I'm real nervous about her climate change mental health. You think Mingus has got some issues to work out with the trees and all that anxiety? Commissioner Rubio is in deep. She doesn't even understand CO2 is what makes our plants grow and makes our food grow. That's how deep she's in. I think Mingus has at least got that part figured out. But all right, so I guess that's kind of me signing off. I did a little bit on if you're going out clubbing or hooking up with strangers, and I know you are, and I know you're drinking way too much, and you're waking up with strange women, and God knows I'm praying for you. I went through that period in my life. It was horrible. Well, some of it was not very good, but other parts weren't as bad as I'd like it to. It was horrible. I'm going to pray for you because I survived, and I did it with the orange Jesus, and the little baby orange Jesus came to me in a dream. No, but no, Jesus is. How could you not be down with Jesus? Come on, but it's beyond just Jesus, isn't it? It's about all of us, and it's about building community. And it's about getting the cartels out of running our jails, running our district attorneys, running our governor's office, getting the cartels out of running our neighborhood associations. I wish I was kidding, but it's gotten a little spooky in the sanctuary states, in the sanctuary cities. Thank you. All right. God bless. Cheers. Be safe. Oh yeah, the booty thing. It's not a good time for booty call. It's stay in. You can do your hookups here in spring and summer when we get the cartels out of our jails and all and all that. If we could do that. So wait for drinking too much Grey Goose and waking up with strange dudes named Rico. Wait until we secure a few things, at least at the district attorney's office, because they're not going to be any help when Rico goes sideways and you're going to need some backup. So, okay. Peace out. God bless. Where's it off? Turn it off. Please just make him stop talking. He won't stop talking.